Welcome back, everybody, to the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB The Show 23. Today, we will be playing the biggest game of this series so far, Game 3 of the wild card round. If we win, we're moving on to the NLDS. If we lose, the season's over. In the last episode, we played games 1 and 2 of the series. Game 1, we ended up winning 6-4. The offense hit the ball really well. We got a great start out of Edward Cabrera, who only allowed 3 hits in a little over 6 innings, albeit 2 of the hits he allowed were homers, which was a little bit of a surprise because no pitcher in baseball has done a better job of limiting the long ball this year than Edward Cabrera. But for the most part, he was really good, and the offense did more than enough. Anthony Santander went deep twice. Woody Landry in his postseason debut hit a double and a dinger as well. We did really struggle with runners on base in this game. Nick Fortes in particular went 0 for 4 with the bases loaded in all 4 of his at-bats. Game 2 was the complete opposite. We lost 8-1. The Diamondbacks hit the ball well. Zach Gallen had a shutout last nearly 7 innings. And for us, Woody Landry was really the only guy who showed up. He had a double and a homer again, but the rest of the offense combined for just 3 hits. Sandy Alcantara did not have a great start, and we're hoping that Game 3 goes a little bit better. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to hop into it. Game 3 of the wild card round. Win or go home. The winner of this game will prepare for the NLDS, a best-of-5 series against the number 1 seeded Chicago Cubs, who had the best record in baseball. And the loser will get to watch from the couch. So there's a lot at stake here. The biggest game within this franchise series up to this point. Obviously, the Miami Marlins have not made the playoffs a lot in their franchise's history. If you throw out the 2020 Mickey Mouse season, the Marlins have only made the postseason twice, being in 1997 and 2003. Both seasons ended with a World Series championship for Miami, and I think this team, if they can get hot, they can make a potential run late into the month of October, but in order to do that, you gotta win the game today. Hayden Wesneski on the mound for the D-backs. He'll face off against trade deadline acquisition Tyler Mahle for a spot in the NLDS. Let's take a look at both lineups. Regular starters for the most part. Gennaro Miller will start in right. No Jesus Sanchez or Brian De La Cruz. I would expect both of those players to sub in sometime later in the game. Here's a look at Tyler Mahle. Had a solid year, 3.69. Nice ERA, 1.32 whip. Acquired via trade at the deadline from Minnesota. We'll see what Mahle can do in his biggest start as a Marlin, and it will not start off well. Alek Thomas, the leadoff man, rips it into the gap. That'll go for a double. Thomas has some great speed, so he very easily could be able to score here, and the Diamondbacks have a great opportunity to get some early runs across. Adam Frazier with a weak grounder. Gavin Lux will look to make the play, and he does. But the runner, Thomas, advances to third. He's 90 feet away from home. And if this ball is put in play from Ahmed Rosario, he should score. And that's exactly what happens. Grounded to short. Lux makes the play. But Ahmed Rosario will drive in the run. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are on the board here in the first inning. They lead 1-0. That'll bring up Matt Chapman, who basically was the reincarnated version of Barry Bonds within the first 2 games of the wild card round. Mahle looking to get him out, possibly with an outside slider. Got him! Chapman checks his swing. That'll wrap up the first. Alek Thomas starts things off with a double. He runs the bases efficiently and is able to score. And so the Diamondbacks already lead it 1-0. Let's go to the bottom of the first, where we will get a look at Hayden Wesneski, who'll be getting the start for the Diamondbacks today. Very comparable numbers on the year to Tyler Mahle. If I were to point something out, he does allow quite a few base runners. 280 allowed in 215 innings. That's a whip of around 1.3. Not a bad number, but not like great or anything. So if the Marlins can get guys on, I think that'd be a big deal, as Lux strikes out on the slider. Luis Arraez is up now. He's gotten off to a pretty good start here in the postseason, hitting .429. He's drawn quite a few walks. Grounds this one over to second. Frazier will make the play, and the Diamondbacks will retire the side. Good start for Hayden Wesneski as Arizona leads it 1-0. Into the second, 2 away for Gabriel Moreno, the young catcher. He'll draw a walk on the low cutter. So the Diamondbacks get their second base runner of the game. That'll bring up Drew Jones, starting in right today after an injury in Game 2 to Max Kepler, and he grounds out to second. Good inning for Mahle, no hits, 1 runner left on, and the Diamondbacks will hold on to their 1-0 lead. Let's transition into the bottom of the second. We'll see if the Marlins can get any offense going. And that'll start with the leadoff hitter and the reigning National League MVP, Jazz Chisholm. He was the best player in baseball this year. He's looked pretty good early in the playoffs, and he gets a weekly hit single into center. So the Marlins will start the inning with an early base runner. That'll bring up Nick Fortes, the catcher, who's been phenomenal this year, but so far in the playoffs it has been a disaster. He has not reached base once, and he's had a lot of at-bats with runners on. He hits it sharply up the middle. That'll go for a hit. Nick Fortes finally with a postseason base knock, and the Marlins have 2 runners aboard with nobody out. Luis Robert, like Fortes, also does not have any hits here in the playoffs. At least he's drawn a couple of walks, I guess. He'll ground this one to second. Frazier flips it over to short, and the Diamondbacks turn the 4-6-3 double play. Jazz Chisholm does advance to third, but now the Marlins are going to need a base hit to drive him in. And that'll bring up the rookie first baseman, Woody Landry, who's been phenomenal at 19 years old. In his first 2 career playoff games, he's homered in both of them. He hits this one high and pretty deep in right field. This one is hit over the moon, basically. It went so high. But Drew Jones will come down with it. The Marlins started the inning strong with 2 early hits, but just as they've done so far in this postseason series, they've really struggled with runners on base, and that was once again the case here. Into the third inning, Alek Thomas strikes out on the splitter. Thomas the only hit and run so far for Arizona. 2 away now for Adam Frazier. He's got a 2-2 count, pitch from Melly, and this one is going to be flied into center. Jazz Chisholm should be able to make the play. Through 3 innings, Tyler Mahle's looked really good. Only 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 run allowed. He's been very impressive up to this point. The offense hasn't given him a whole lot yet, but it's still only the bottom of the 3rd inning. There's still time. Here's Gavin Lux. He'll take ball 4. High fastball up and away. And so the Marlins are going to get a walk and a runner aboard here for Yandy Diaz, who was phenomenal in Game 1. A lot quieter in Game 2, though. Diaz grounds this one to second. Frazier bobbles it. Can he make the play? He will. That was nearly a costly error from Adam Frazier, and we are now through 3. 1-0. The Diamondbacks still with the lead. Pretty low-scoring game so far. We'll see when these offenses really start to get going. It's taken a little while in games for these offenses to get running, but once they do, they're on. Chapman strikes out. Now here's Alex Bregman. He'll take a walk on the outside cutter, and the Diamondbacks have another runner aboard. 2 away here for the first baseman, Christian Walker. He's down 1-2. Lines it past the diving glove of Luis Arraez for a hit. Just the 2nd hit of the day for the Diamondbacks, the first one since Alek Thomas's leadoff double. And so there's 2 runners aboard here. Big opportunity for Arizona to really do some damage. It's the catcher, Gabriel Moreno, who flies this one high and deep into center. Jazz Chisholm, the MVP, will come down with it. And the Marlins make it through the 4th as Tyler Mahle continues what has been a really good start. He does allow a couple of runners here, but nobody scores. Into the bottom of the 4th, Luis Arraez hits this one sharply up the middle. That'll go for a hit. The Marlins start the inning with a base runner. Hopefully they can take advantage here, unlike the 2nd inning, especially with some of their best hitters due up. That'll start with the MVP, Jazz Chisholm, and he's already ahead in the count, 3-1. And Jazz will take this one. He hits it high and pretty deep in the left center field. That one does not have enough carry. It will be hauled in out in center for out number 1. That's Thomas who comes down with it. Nick Fortes is up now. He swings and misses at the low slider. He absolutely should not have swung at that pitch, but he does. And so that'll now bring up Luis Robert. Count is full, and he hits this one sharply into right. Drew Jones chasing after it, and he will come down with it. 4 scoreless innings for Hayden Wiesenski. He looks really good so far. The Marlins have only scored 1 run in the last game and a half. For one of the better offenses in baseball, that's pretty unacceptable. But on the flip side, you got to think they're going to get something going soon, right? Drew Jones goes down on the fastball, former top pick, 2nd overall a few years ago. Alek Thomas grounds it to second. What a play by Luis Arraez, and that'll wrap up the 5th. A phenomenal defensive play at second from Arraez, and we are now through the top of the 5th. Bottom 5, the rookie Woody Landry leads things off. He hits this one high and deep in right field, looking for a 3rd straight game with a homer. It is caught. I thought that one really had enough carry, but Drew Jones is able to come down with it at the warning track. Anthony Santander, the only other Marlin with multiple homers in the playoffs. He got both of them in Game 1. He'll draw a walk. There's a base runner and a nice opportunity for Brian De La Cruz, who will come off the bench to replace Gennaro Miller. Full count here for De La Cruz. He skies this one into right. Drew Jones looks to be able to make the play, and he will for the second out of the inning. That'll bring us back to the top of the order with Gavin Lux due up. He drew a walk in his last at-bat, the 1-2. Swings at a pitch he shouldn't have. He hits it well, though, but it will be caught in left. This continues to be a pitcher's duel. Tyler Mahle and Hayden Wiesenski are continuing to dominate. It's 1-0 through 5. Arizona scored in the top of the first, and we have had nothing since then offensively. We'll see if the Diamondbacks can get some more runs here in the 6th. Look to potentially extend their lead with Tyler Mahle throwing his 100th pitch of the game now to the shortstop, Ahmed Rosario. Rosario hits this one into the opposite field. That could go for extra bases. Just the 3rd hit of the game here for Arizona. It's a 1-out double for Rosario, who led the National League in doubles this year. That'll bring up Matt Chapman now. Grounds it to first. Woody Landry makes the play. Runner advances to 3rd, but they're going to need a base hit to drive them in. That'll bring up Alex Bregman. He's behind 1-2. And Bregman swings at a pitch outside of the zone. It goes for a soft single into center. Run scores, and the Diamondbacks lead it 2-0. Big hit for Bregman, and we finally have runs for the first time since the first inning. That'll bring up the first baseman, Christian Walker. Mahle at 111 pitches. Got to assume his leash is short as it's a liner to 3rd. Diaz bobbles it. Throw on to first is in time, and that'll wrap up the 6th. The Diamondbacks add another run with an Alex Bregman RBI single, and we move to the bottom half of the frame. Still only 3 hits for the Marlins. Something's got to give at some point, right? Yandy Diaz swings at a pitch outside of the zone. Diaz is some of the best plate discipline in all of baseball. A rare whiff from Yandy Diaz. That'll bring up Luis Arraez. Wiesenski now at 100 pitches as Arraez lines this one into right field. Does it have enough carry? It does! Luis Arraez puts the Marlins on the board. It's 2-1. Finally, the Marlins get some runs. A solo shot for Luis Arraez. His first homer of the playoffs, his 2nd hit of the day. Luis Arraez has been great offensively and at second base defensively today, and he gets the biggest swing of the night for the Marlins to put them on the board. That ball did not go super high in the air. The launch angle had to have been pretty low, but he hit it hard enough to where it has enough carry to make it over with an exit velo just shy of 103. That'll bring up Jazz Chisholm now with Wiesenski still in the game. Chisholm with a big swing and a miss on the fastball for the 2nd out of the inning. That'll bring up the catcher, Nick Fortes. He's ahead 3-1. Got to be swinging at something good here. That wasn't really something good. It was right on the edge of the strike zone. Really good pitch as it's a weak fly out to second. So an interesting 6th inning. The Diamondbacks get one, but the Marlins get one right back with the homer by Luis Arraez. That'll bring us into the 7th with a pitching change for Miami. Camilo Duvall will come into the game. The Marlins are keeping an eye on matchups. Lefties are due up probably in the next inning, so that's when you'll see A.J. Puck. Instead, Duvall is in now as Moreno grounds out to first. Yandy Diaz kind of bobbled that one a little bit too, but he does make the play pretty easily. 2-2 count for Drew Jones, and he will go down looking on the slider right down the middle. Unfortunately, though, Camilo Duvall, as he threw it, it looks like he might have tightened something in his hip. So he's going to be taken out of the game. It probably won't be a serious injury, but he will need to be removed, and A.J. Puck will come in a little bit earlier than anticipated. We'll see if Puck can get out of the inning as he faces off against Jordan Luplow. Luplow is getting a start in the outfield today, and he hits lefties better than he does righties, so the timing of the injury is not ideal, but he'll strike out on the circle change, and the Marlins make it through the top of the 7th. It's still 2-1. Can the offense get something going here? Wiesenski still in the game here in the bottom of the 7th. He'll face off against Luis Robert. Still looking for that first postseason hit. And that might be it as he hits it well into center, and it is caught. So that'll be the first out of the inning. Robert still hitless. That'll bring up Woody Landry now. He's had a couple close ones in the right field today, hit sharply as it's 2-2. And Woody will rip this one into the gap. The shift ends up playing to his favor, and Woody Landry will make it to second with that ball rolling all the way to the wall. Woody now has a double in all 3 playoff games, and the tying run is in scoring position. So with that, Hayden Wiesenski will be taken out of the game. A phenomenal start for the young righty. 6 1/3 innings. Only 1 run allowed so far. We'll see if the Marlins are able to drive in Woody. But nonetheless, the Diamondbacks will go to the bullpen as they will bring in Landon Sims to replace him. Sims has pitched a third of an inning so far in the playoffs. He allowed a walk, and then he got an out. He'll face off against Anthony Santander. The count is full, and this one is going to be grounded to second. It advances the runner if nothing else, but now the Marlins are going to need a base hit to drive him in. That would bring up Brian De La Cruz. He's not a very good clutch hitter, so Jesus Sanchez will come in off the bench to replace him. Sanchez skies this one into left field, and this one will be caught. The Marlins season is 2 innings away from being over. Now, luckily, they're only down by 1, but the offense has not shown a whole lot of signs of life. Thomas strikes out looking on the slider. As you can see, puck is still in the game. Adam Frazier hits it up the middle. Going to be a tough play for Gavin Lux. Throw to first is not in time. He looked out, and at this point in the game, the Marlins don't have much to lose. They might as well look to challenge it. His manager, Skip Shoemaker, will alert the official that this play is going to be challenged and under review. Let's take a look at the replay, see if Frazier was on the bag in time, and right there, he's out. The ball is in Woody's glove before he touches the bag. I will say that is unbelievably close. I wouldn't be surprised if that's too close to overturn, but I think that first angle did show that he would have been out, so I think that would be the right call. And there you go. The umpires agree. Adam Frazier is out at first, and the call is overturned. Ahmed Rosario is now up with 2 away and nobody on. The 1-2. Got him on the slider. A.J. Puck makes it through the 8th. It's 2-1. Can the Marlins offense get something going with the lefty Kyle Nelson into the game? The Marlins have quite a few lefties due up within these next few batters. 3 of the next 4 to be specific. That'll start with the shortstop Gavin Lux. Full count. Lux hits it hard into right center, and that will be caught. And Miami's season now comes down to the next 5 outs. That'll bring up the third baseman, Yandy Diaz. Hasn't done a whole lot today. 3-2. Diaz skies this one into right. Drew Jones is under it. He will make the play for the second out. Now Miami's season comes down to 4 outs. Luckily, it's arguably the 4 best hitters on the roster due up. That starts with Luis Arraez. He goes down looking on the cutter. 1-2-3, 8th inning for Nelson. The Diamondbacks lead it 2-1 going into the 9th inning. So even though it's not a save situation, our season is kind of on the line, so we might as well bring in the best reliever left in the bullpen. That's the closer, Liam Hendricks. He'll face off against Chapman, who rips this one into left field. That one will stay fair, and Chapman is aboard to start the inning with a double. So already, Arizona has a runner in scoring position. The Marlins have shown they can barely get one across, so they can't let this run score. Bregman strikes out for out number 1. Christian Walker now rips it down the line. Diaz with an incredible play. Backhanded throw is in time! What a throw by Yandy Diaz for the second out of the inning. Big at bat here now against the number 7 hitter, which is Gabriel Moreno. But first, we got to look at this throw again by Yandy Diaz. If that ball gets by him, a run scores. Moreno hits this one into center. Lux cannot make the play. Chapman will look to score, and the Diamondbacks will drive in the run after all. Moreno's actually going to make it to second safely, and so it's 3-1 with an RBI single, double. I think they're going to call that a single for Gabriel Moreno. Drew Jones strikes out on the fastball. Not a great inning, though, for the Marlins. They allow a run. They trail by 2 going into the bottom of the 9th inning, and the Diamondbacks are going to bring in the all-star closer, Alonso Arraez. .68 ERA, .95 whip for the rookie. He's only allowed 3 runs all year. The Marlins need 3 to win the game. Let's start with Jazz Chisholm. Big-time players make big-time plays. It's a single. So the MVP delivers here to start the 9th inning, and the Marlins have a runner aboard. The tying run is up now with nobody away. It'll be the catcher, Nick Fortes. I know he struggled with runners on, but he's going to come up big this time with a single into center. So Alonso Arraez in his first career postseason game has already allowed 2 runners on. Tying run is at first. Winning run is at the plate. A walk-off home run would theoretically end the game. I don't think this would be a better time than now for Luis Robert to get his first postseason hit of the year. He hasn't gotten any yet, But with 2 on, down by 2, now would be the perfect time to get it. 1-2 pitch. Robert lines this one sharply into right. It's caught by Jones. Jazz Chisholm will look to tag up. The Marlins didn't really need to send him. Fortes is really the important runner here, but they do anyway, and he is safe. So now there's runners on the corners for the rookie, Woody Landry. Woody has this quirk where he performs better in the 9th inning or later. Can we get another homer from him? We've gotten one in every playoff game so far. The 1-2. Swing and a miss on the slider. Alonso Arraez strikes him out, and the Marlins are down to their final out of the game. It's Anthony Santander. Man, could we use a Tony Tater right about now with the season on the line. 1-1 count. Santander fouls off the changeup, and the Marlins season is down to its final strike. So the count is now 1-2 with runners on the corners. Alonso Arraez, the rookie all-star, on the mound as Santander crushes this one, but he swings a little bit too early, and that ball goes foul. So the count will remain 1-2, the most important at-bat of the series up to this point. The pitch from Arraez. Swing and a miss. It's over. Alonso Arraez got him on the low slider. And the Miami Marlins season comes to a close. You can see the look of defeat from the dugout as the Arizona Diamondbacks win Game 3 of the Wild Card Series by the final score of 3-1 here in Miami. The Diamondbacks are moving on to the NLDS, where they will face off against number 1 seeded Chicago Cubs. And with that, season number 3 of the Marlins franchise comes to a close, certainly a little bit earlier than we expected. And we'll start our little recap here of this game specifically. The reason why we lost was the offense. We could not hit the ball for a second straight game, and the Diamondbacks, they didn't really hit the ball that well either, but they had a few clutch hits in certain situations, and, well, 3 runs was enough to win with how our offense performed poorly. Arraez, Chisholm, and Fortes all had 2 hits. Those guys performed well. Arraez had the homer, which was our lone run. Everybody else only had 1 hit, though. Tyler Mahle gets the loss. He was good. The bullpen was pretty good, but it wasn't good enough because the offense, unfortunately, let us down when it was all said and done. So we have been eliminated from the playoffs. I still feel like this season was a massive success. At the end of July, we were 500. We were on the big losing streak, and we made the decision to buy at the trade deadline. Our big acquisition, Luis Robert, went 0 for 11. He was not very good in the playoffs, but I still think making that decision overall was a positive one because it did really turn around our team, and it got us in a position where we can make the playoffs. And I truly think in the MLB playoffs, if you get hot, especially your pitching, if you get hot, you can go on a run no matter how good or how not that good your team was in the regular season. But unfortunately, this year was not our year. Let's take a look at how the rest of the playoff ends up here as we'll get through the rest of the wild card round. The Rays, Angels, and Dodgers will make it out, and we'll take a look at how the divisional series will end up. We had some very interesting results, especially in the American League. The top 2 seeds, the Blue Jays and the Astros, really struggled. The Blue Jays got swept by the Rays, and the Astros lost in 4 to the Angels. As for the NL, it was chalk. The 2-seeded Phillies sweep the Dodgers, and the 3-seeded Cubs need 5 to get by the pesky Diamondbacks. In the World Series, we've got the Angels and the Cubs. The Angels beat the Rays in 6, while the Cubs sweep the Phillies. The Cubs had the best record in the regular season. They've got a phenomenal rotation, pretty good group of offensive players, including former Marlin Rowdy Tellez, who was arguably their best hitter throughout the course of the year. The Angels have Mike Trout. No Shohei Ohtani, though. He is with the Dodgers. The rest of his team is solid. They've got some former Marlins like Garrett Cooper and Dylan Floro, but the Angels had 10 less wins. They are the massive underdog. The Cubs should win this World Series as they take the first 2 at Wrigley. The Angels take 1 at home. Now we've got a series, but the Cubs win Game 4 on the road. Can they finish it off in Anaheim? They do. So the Chicago Cubs win the World Series in 5 games, their second championship of the last decade. Ian Happ and Taylor Ward win playoff MVPs, while Happ wins the World Series MVP. And with that, Season 3 is now officially done overall, and that'll bring us to the offseason. Now that we know that we've got a core and a really good team, we can be a little bit more aggressive this offseason, and we're going to aim to make calculated moves. We're going to be smart here. We've got quite a few guys who are free agents, most notably Luis Arraez, Tyler Mahle, and others. We've got a lot of big-name guys who are not under contract this year, and we've got a lot of decisions that we're going to have to make. Hope everybody enjoyed. I know it's not the end of the season that we wanted, but still a really fun year nonetheless. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.